We come down Barton Road and end at the city with Santa Claus, and you know, some maybe some carnival-ish type things here, face painting, you know, those sort of things, cookie decorating, ornament making, whatever. Some of those sort of things that we can put together, and then do our tree lighting here sometime as it gets dark. As part of that day. We're working on the details. We do have a parade coordinator that has consented to do this for us and to work with all the entities and pull it together. So we are moving ahead with that goal in mind of pulling off. That'd be December 10 for Christmas parade. And of course, we want everybody there, and you know, get you involved in the tree lighting and some of the other events of the day. So hopefully we'll have a schedule soon, and we can have a lot of fun at Christmas and get our community back out and get them involved in not just in viewing the parade, but maybe some activities that would be holiday oriented and have some fun. So there's our update. Any questions or move ahead or?
What does the Academy think of this?
They're okay with that. They have, because we haven't had it for 2 years, they've tried to do some other things, and in talking to them, they said, yeah, we can support that. We sort of don't depend on it anymore anyway, so it's not as big a leap as it might have been if we'd have just, well, canceled it like we did 2 years ago. So they're okay, and we're hoping they will come through with some floats like they used to do in this as well, and we need to think about how we can promote getting people involved in that and maybe giving them some sort of prizes or exposure, however that's going to work. So hopefully we can involve LLB and some other organizations in making this a little bigger deal.
Will the marching bands be playing slow songs because their fingers won't move?
Well, we have somebody working with the high schools, or our junior highs, a lot of them were, to see what maybe the Pathfinders can do that. I don't know.
They'll play a dirge or something.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Instead of John Philip Sousa.
Yeah, it'll have to be Christmas carols instead of marching. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, that's it. I'll bring you another update maybe in a couple of months when we're down the road. But hopefully you can mark that date, and we'll hopefully have a fun, full day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Your 3 minutes are up. You reserve the balance of your time. Any other comments from the public? Last chance. Okay. Public comment is closed. And we will proceed to item number 1, which is a continuation of the first reading. So it's the first and a half reading for our development code from.
I got one here.
When did we last talk about this? It was April 11.
Last meeting.
Yes. And then we will set the second reading for June 13. Presumably.
Hopefully. Mr. Mayor, council members, this is as we discussed last time, a change to our development code, essentially moving it from a written to more tabular form. At our last meeting, we worked through pretty much all of the significant details, other than and I believe you have the changes as part of your packet, the edits there. We changed the fast food with drive-through to a not allowed use. And then the largest point of discussion, let me find my page here, was the hillside conservation with the setbacks. And we took another look at that. And I think what we ended up with is a little more in conformance with what you as the council had wanted. We tried to treat the essentially the hillside, the very low, and the rural estates, which are the more denser type hillside, to have setbacks more reflective of what we have in the large lot areas, and then we increased the setbacks a little larger to the 5 and 10 acre and the large parcels. Other than that, This is essentially the same document you saw last week, and we are open for discussion and or questions from it.
Any questions for staff? Okay, hearing no questions, is there a motion to set the second reading for June 13?
Do we have to have a public hearing on this?
Did we have a public hearing before?
Well, it's noticed as a public hearing. It's
Okay.
actually a continued public hearing, so yes.
The public hearing is open. Any comments from the public? Our development code is uninteresting. Okay, we'll close the public hearing with a double tap. Is there interest in moving the second reading for June 13?
I go ahead and move it.
Okay, so we take a vote on that. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That is approved. We will see you all on June 13 to do our second reading, which is actually our third, but officially the second. Item number 2 is being continued to June 13 as well, so we won't consider that. We have a consent calendar with extensive,
Mayor, I just wanted to
yes.
talk about number 2 for a second. Why is it being continued?
Number 2.
Number 2.
Oh.
So, I'm waiting for an answer. Why are we continuing it? We're
Why is the
continuing on number
signage
2. Why?
continued for another month?
This is the second time it's got continued.
Actually, it was up at Planning Commission, their last meeting. There were some fairly significant revisions requested by the commission, specifically on content neutrality. They essentially bought off on the aesthetics, the placements, and the nuts and bolts of it, but they wanted to work through with the city attorney on some of the language as far as what is and is not allowed on the sign so that we're consistent with current Supreme Court rulings on the matter.
Okay, thank you.
Any motions or discussions on the consent calendar?
Can we pull item number 14
Okay,
and handle that separately?
okay, we can just discuss it and then handle them all together, or if you want to have a separate vote, that's fine.
Separate vote, please.
Okay. I have a question about the demands register. Are you happy with the gopher patrol? Because we're sending a lot of money to the gopher patrol, and I sent a lot of money to a gopher company and didn't catch very many gophers. I'm wondering if you do.
Right now, the Gulf Patrol take care of the city hall and the city parks, and they just go down, put in the hole. That's about it. But we still have some gopher, yes, but it's better without any Gulf Patrol at all, so.
Do we have any kind of evidence of how much they're actually doing, or they're just collecting the money and hoping, crossing their fingers?
I saw them here, so, yes, yes. And I've been going to the city park too, so I make sure that they do.
Do they use traps or potato guns or
They use poison,
poison?
yes, in the hole,
Okay.
yeah. But the one that I saw when they did it here at the city hall, they poke it in and move that thing so that the poison went down in the hole.
Mhm. I have one of those devices, and the problem is you can't tell if it's working, because if they die under the surface, you just don't know.
Well, you can, because the mound's gone after you cover it.
Yeah. Presumably, yes. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion on the consent calendar except for item 14?
Move.
Okay, that's moved. Is there a second? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition to that? I hear no opposition, so the consent calendar absent item 14 is approved. And number 14, what is your interest in that?
I'm just going to recuse myself from it.
For the record, that does involve Councilman Duper's department of the county, and so he has previously declared a conflict and does not participate on that.
Okay.
Does that apply to any law enforcement expenditures?
It would apply to the contract with the department for which he's employed.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve that?
I'll move.
Is there support for that motion? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any questions? Hearing none. Is there any opposition to approval? I hear none. That's approved. We have item 17, agreement with Inland Valley Development Agency to share costs for the Mountain View off-ramp.
I have a little PowerPoint presentation for this one. This one for both items number 17 and 18 is the improvement at I-10 Freeway and Mountain View off-ramps. This is the existing location. This is Mountain View. This is I-10 Freeway, where we have called a diamond shape off-ramp and on-ramp. So the city had been working with San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, the new sandbag, for the proposed final interchange improvement, which will be similar to what we did at the Anderson and Tippecanoe. Currently, this intersection or this interchange is ranked number 18 on the list of the interchange improvement at the authority. So by doing this project study report, we have retained Caltrans to do the project study report for us through the authority. Whereas the city of Loma Linda pays 70% and IVDA pay 30% for the study. And then last week, I had a meeting with Caltrans on this project, and also the staff from authority was there. And they said, this is great. So we are in the process of doing all this study. And I told them, oh, by the way, we're also going to do interim solution by wiring the off-ramp, both the eastbound and the westbound off-ramp. Then the staff at the authority told me, well, by doing so, then your ranking will go down lower, because when you do an interim improvement, you actually improve the interchange. So therefore, your ranking is going down. So I just want to let you know that this is in the study right now, but I think I need to have another meeting with IVDA and authority to see should we move forward with this project with Caltrans or not. Are you with me so far?
Yeah. I just recently met with Ray Wolf, and he was telling me that this particular project was being moved up on their Nexus study. Is that what you heard, Mayor?
I've heard that they were hoping to move this up, and what I don't understand is how they're planning to do that. Are they going to redo the Nexus study
Yes.
for the entire county and then see where we fall and then fund it, or are they going to wait until after we do the improvements and then we would end up with a lower ranking if they did it after the improvements?
That's why I need to have a meeting with the authority. And the reason for we need to redo the Nexus study, because right now, based on the current Nexus study, the city of Loma Linda will be responsible for 75% of local match. And I said, I don't think so, because majority of traffic right now is going north to the warehouses in San Bernardino and Redlands. And so therefore, the city of Loma Linda should not be responsible for 75% of the local match. So we need to do,
So when was the last Nexus study done?
many years ago, I can't remember.
Yeah.
So I had to have meeting with them, so I just wanted to let you know.
So maybe they'll just do a spot Nexus study for this
Yes,
intersection?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If that's what they're planning to do, that's fine, and that would be unaffected by this improvement.
But I just want to have a meeting
Yeah.
with them.
So, the items on the agenda is to award a contract to prepare plans for
Correct,
this.
and that will be this one. This will be the next slide I'm going to show you.
Okay, so, but I think you just told us that if we move forward with that, somehow that's going to lower our ranking, and you're debating whether we should do it or not.
But this is what we should do.
Okay.
What I'm recommending is that this might take 15 years.
Correct.
This one, I will go out to bid in October or November.
I understand that.
So we need to get this done so that will improve the traffic at this location.
No, I understand that, but I thought you had just told us that by doing this, it lowered the rankings, and you're questioning whether we should do it or not.
No, I question, should we spend the money hiring Caltrans to do the project study report?
I see.
Yeah, see, Caltrans wants to spend $300,000 doing the big shot fix study report, and they're not going to do it for 15 years anyway.
Okay.
So we'd be putting a ton of money into something that's way off into the
Well,
future.
that wasn't indicated at all in the staff report. Am I missing something?
No, the staff report only talk about this one, but I want to give you an update on, the council did approve the agreement between the city and the authority earlier this year.
Okay.
To
So
do-
number 17 is just more informational, is that what you're
No,
saying?
number 17 is for us to have an agreement with IVDA to help pay for the design and the construction of the off-ramp, the east and
Okay.
westbound
So
off-ramp.
you're discussing the whole intersection, but the items on the agenda is just for the improvements?
Correct.
I see.
Correct.
So, I think the mayor alluded to this. You're saying that Caltrans is suggesting it's going to cost, or Sandbag, I guess, it's going to cost $300,000 to do this study.
No, we already have a signed contract.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about number 17, we're talking about the whole intersection. And you didn't want us to pursue that because the amount, we would be subject to 75% of the local matching fund.
I'm sorry, I confused you.
Okay,
The agreement that we have with authority right now
okay,
is for the authority to hire Caltrans to do a project study report, of which that contract is about $392,000.
okay, let me stop you there. How is that related to the $1.5 million for this?
It's two separate things.
So they are two separate items. No, I
Correct.
understand that part, okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
So I want to bring you up to both, the study for the project study report for the full interchange came first.
I understand that, okay.
So we did that earlier this year. But in the meantime, we have been working with Gary Coho when he was still there. We ended up getting a grant from Caltrans for $1 million to do the off-ramp improvement. So by doing so, I went to talk to Mike with IVDA, said, Mike, this improvement might only cost $1.5 million, so what if we split the difference?
Mhm.
And then Caltrans will pay $1 million. He said, sure. And Loma Linda will be the leading agency to get this work done. So the number 17, which already went to IVDA board for approval, was that was agreement between City of Loma Linda and IVDA to split the cost for this improvement, for the off-ramp improvement. And the City of Loma Linda will have a separate agreement with Caltrans for $1 million. They're going to help pay for this improvement.
Okay. I
Okay?
understand that part. I'm still don't understand why you brought up the $300,000 study.
It's kind of, do we need to, right now, we only spend about $50,000 or $60,000 to Caltrans to start the study. Do we want to stop them and save the $300,000, or let them do the study? And I need to work with the authority and IVDA on this. I just want to let you know.
Is there any advantage to doing the study before we do the improvement? In other words, does the Caltrans study affect SBCTA's prioritization of this project, does it kind of lock in our position if you've got that Caltrans study under your belt? Versus waiting to do it until we do the improvement, and then the Caltrans study will show this thing, you know, almost like a nexus study, this intersection doesn't need, well, not a nexus, but almost like a prioritization study, this project doesn't need any work because they've already fixed it. So is there an advantage to letting them do that $392,000 study and locking in our position, or does that thing affect the number 18 ranking at all?
I was hoping by doing the study, it will move the ranking up. So I need to confirm that with the authority. That's why I brought this up. We have two things going at the same time.
Well, I mean, my view is we just need to do whatever we can to alleviate traffic. I mean, I get off of Mountain View the other day and I had to get
Yes.
3 lights in order
Yes.
to get onto Mountain View. So,
Yes.
and that's, I think I got lucky because it wasn't the height, but it's getting to the point where traffic is getting almost backed up onto the freeway.
Yes.
But okay. Would that be helped at all by fixing the off-ramps? Because all we're fixing is off-ramps.
I know, but in the meantime, I'm not gonna, I think we need to do what we can to fix it.
is
I'm not
the-
gonna make traffic worse, just in case maybe Caltrans may improve this intersection in 15 years.
Is the on-ramp a problem because does it have those lights to control ingress to the freeway?
No, right now, the on-ramp is no
I'm talking about the
problem.
I'm talking about exiting Mountain View and heading west, and
On
trying to
the
get onto
freeway.
Mountain View.
Yeah.
The stoplight will only
Yeah.
allow so many cars, and more cars are coming that it takes 3 lights to get through during.
Yeah, that won't necessarily be fixed by this.
No, this is fixing the off-ramp.
Well,
but-
the off-ramp, off-ramp, I see what you're saying.
But-
Well,
but-
that is an off-ramp, but it's an off-ramp going west. They should be fixing that by adding more lanes. Why not? You'd be allowed to,
Off-ramp going west, yes.
Yeah.
We fix
should
both the
fix it.
off-ramp, eastbound and westbound off-ramp,
Yeah.
yes. But not the on-ramp.
I would think that's.
It's unpredictable how it would affect your experience getting onto the westbound on-ramp. It's
Well, I would
unpredictable.
hope it's not quite unpredictable, otherwise we wouldn't be doing any improvements, because we don't know what's going to be the impact of them.
But my point is, that I'm not sure your on-ramp experience will be improved by fixing an off-ramp. Maybe it will be,
No,
maybe
I'm not talking
not.
about the on-ramp, I'm talking about the off-ramp, getting onto Mountain View, coming from Redlands. We're starting to experience traffic.
Yes.
Okay, so you were saying you were coming off the freeway.
Correct.
Onto Mountain View, okay.
Correct.
Then that should be improved, because
Yes.
there will be now 2 left turn lanes?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is,
That should improve.
this is what happened. This is existing today. There's 2 lane. This is eastbound off-ramp, okay? There's 2 lane at the present time. One is to go straight or to the left, okay? This lane is to turn right, going southbound into Loma Linda. So what happened right now is the truck is blocking all the way across this intersection here and back up over here. So the car that want to turn right going south into Loma Linda, they cannot do that. So what we are proposing is this one down here is add additional lane, so that will be a dual left turn movement. And the middle one will also can go straight. And then there'll be a free right turn movement to go south into Loma Linda.
And the right turn lane extends farther up the ramp so that you're not as likely to be blocked
Correct.
by other traffic that's not turning right.
Correct. And by providing 2 right turn, the traffic will turn right faster.
So we'll have 2 lanes making a left turn?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And what's happening right now is today, in the morning, the car is already driving over the gravel road right now. So all I'm doing is just pave where the gravel. So that's my plan.
Yeah.
Now, being that Caltrans is going to pay $1 million of it, I would like to grind and overlay both the off-ramp, the eastbound and the north and the eastbound on-ramp. Grind and overlay.
What do you mean by that? What does that do?
It's better than just a partial fix. He wants to repave the whole thing.
Correct.
Oh, I see.
Right now, when you look at the off-ramp, it's all cracked up, it looked pretty bad. The Caltrans came out, did a crack seal a little bit, and I thought, oh, they come out and do a crack seal, they're gonna pave it. No, they didn't. So what I want to do is through the same permitting process with Caltrans, I will grind and overlay all four corner. So this is what happened with the westbound off-ramp. Again, we have only 2 lane, of which 1 lane, the one to the left here, is for the left turn movement. And the one to the right is a right turn movement and go straight. Same thing, the traffic are blocking up, clogging up here, so you can't turn left into Loma Linda. So what we propose is add additional lane to the shoulder so that we have two right turn movement. And this one is actually have in the middle one is you can turn left or right or go straight. And then a free left turn, okay? And the same thing, we're going to grind overlay the on-ramp, eastbound on-ramp. And we're going to put gravel on the slope, similar we have over here. The color, hardscape, I'm going to put it over here too.
And you'll have a roundup budget for years to come to spray the weeds?
Right now, we have a contract with Adopted Highway
Yeah,
to take care of this for us right now. It's about $350,000 a month.
yeah.
Now, what's different with this one is when I asked Caltrans for permit, I asked them, we'd like to put the fabric down first before we put the rock, and they wouldn't let me. I said, well, then the weed gonna go through. And sure enough, the weed's going through right now. So this one, I will insist that we put the fabric down first before we put the rock down, So, this is the project funding. We estimate that this project will cost about $1.5 million, of which Caltrans will pay $1 million, and IVDA and us will split $250,000. For us, funding will come from the Regional Transportation Mitigation Fund. So for item number,
So is that the fund, the monies that come
Free.
to us? Or are those the funds that go to SBCTA?
it's the fund come through us. We collect the money first and then go to them.
And then they're going to pay for it?
Well, we always hold the money. The Sandbag never have the money. We just
okay.
have the number.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize
Yes.
we held on to it.
Yes, we hold on to it.
Okay. That's a good way to spend it.
Yes. Okay, so item number 17 is agreement for you to approve agreement between City of Loma Linda and IVDA.
Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, there's enthusiastic support from 2 members. Any further discussion? How does the entire body feel? Are there any opposed? I hear nothing, so that's a unanimous approval.
Okay? And on number 18, we sent out the request for proposal to 6 engineering firm for preparing the plan specification, a cost estimate for the improvement. We received 4 proposals, of which the review committee, which consists of myself, Jeff Peterson from Loma Linda, Mike, and his staff from IVDA, reviewed all the proposal, and we selected Michael Baker, an associate, to prepare this plan for this project at the cost of $146,000. So,
Is that a reasonable amount?
Yes, sir.
Is this the kind of a thing that you can sketch out?
I did. That's why we get the low bid. We
Okay.
get a pretty good bid.
So,
I pretty much, this is what it's gonna look like at the end.
did you, I guess I'm used to seeing stuff at the IVDA where when you say there's 4 proposals, it usually shows us the actual amounts. But it just wasn't, I didn't see it in the staff report. Am I missing it? It's not, is it there or is it not there?
Well, right now, we just like, we didn't have, because when you hire professional services, you don't go with the lowest bidder. The lowest contract is $100,000, but we're taking 10 months to do the work.
No, I understand that, but it would have been nice for us to see what the other bids are so we can compare.
We compare the bid when it's construction project. We go with the lowest bidder. But with Caltrans procedure for selecting professional services, we go with qualification.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Just to comment on this, I received some proposed amendments to our consultant agreement from the consultant's attorneys, so we're going to polish that up. So I'd ask if you're so inclined to approve it, subject to final review by the city attorney.
I'm still unclear as to what the rules are, but it is a pretty large amount to be just in a professional service agreement. You would think that there was some process involved that involves the actual cost savings, not just professional services. In other words, it surprises me that this type of a contract is based on someone's judgment as to who's qualified versus necessarily what the savings are.
What we usually do is, when we do professional services, we have a two separate envelope. One for qualification and a different envelope for price.
Okay.
But because I work with this engineering firm many different firm, I didn't send out requests for proposal to any firm. I narrowed it down to 6 firms that I know that they can do the work.
Okay.
So therefore, they're pre-qualified, of which only 4 submit, okay?
Okay.
And so what I did, it ranged from the lowest is 100,000 to the higher of close to $500,000.
Okay.
So, and I met with Mike, and Mike recommended this firm just like I do, because this firm did the design for Mountain View Avenue Widen project.
And they were where were they in the pricing compared to the other ones?
On IVDA, I don't know.
No, I'm talking about here in this particular.
Oh, the lowest is 100,000, this is 146.
Okay, all right.
And the next one is about 90,000 higher. And this one can get done for me within 5 months. And all this work will be done within Caltrans right away, so we don't have to purchase land, deal with other agency other than Caltrans.
I think what we're really asking is, what does PS&E involve? That takes, this is a highly paid person for an entire year.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's a lot of money just for drawing up
project study
some
report.
plans. So
Yes.
help us understand why 2 short segments of essentially off-ramp costs $146,000 just to plan and engineer it.
And then why project study report is to take 350-some thousand? Yes. Project study report require different part of Caltrans, okay? When we have meeting, we have about 10 people from Caltrans, from historical, from environmental, animals, because different species, the traffic group, the design team, the geometry team, so, and the right-of-way group to take care of the right-of-way, the utility to take care of utilities, and so they each one do different study to come up with different design. They usually come up with 3 different design, and then we pick one. Now, that's the only report. When you're ready to do the real study, you still have to do environmental study, and
So the initial $392,000, if we were to go to that right now, would just be a guess of what the environmental impact would be.
correct.
And then we have to actually study the environmental impact again.
Yes.
And is this CEQA or?
It's really a NEPA because when you do freeway, it requires federal fund. The majority is federal fund, so it requires a NEPA process.
Okay.
I thought that,
But for this one, since we fund it ourselves, it's gonna be just a sequel process, and we will do that in-house.
And this one, we're doing a mitigated negative declaration?
Yes.
Okay. So I still don't know why it takes $146,000 to draw up some blueprints and engineer this, because aren't freeways all just the same amount of, the same amount of rebar, they're all the same?
It's difficult, and again, 146 is inexpensive. The reason I didn't pick the $100,000 one is,
But what I'm saying is, just to let you know where we're coming from,
yes,
none of us are civil engineers, and we don't see why it's so expensive to do this. You're saying it's cheap. I trust you, it's cheap. Explain to me why it costs $146,000 to do the PS&E on two little, maybe
Because we live in California.
at the most half a mile of,
They have, on their proposal, they have a breakdown of the time they're gonna spend on each task, and the cost per hour, I do have that breakdown, so. Yeah,
yeah, but we're not doing an EIR. We're doing a mitigated negative declaration. We're basically saying there are no impacts. We're slightly widening what's already there. So I understand that part. When you go to the hospital and you're there 2 days and they charge you $146,000,
Okay.
I can explain to you why they charge that
Yes.
much.
Even
But
a
I
mit-
can't explain this.
because we
Even
live in
mitigated
California.
neg deck does require focused studies.
yes,
Say that
A
again?
mitigated neg deck will require focused studies. What it doesn't do is have the full EIR.
Yeah.
okay.
So they'll probably have some specific studies that will drive up some of that cost, traffic, air quality, maybe some cultural, and each one of those is $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 apiece.
So the engineering firm is doing that as part of this?
No, I'm doing
This
it.
is just PS&E, though.
I'm doing it. This is what I have to do. First, I have to get a permit from Caltrans to get onto Caltrans right away to the survey. They have to do a cross-section of this off-ramp so they know where. Second, they have to do geotechnical, which is to go out and core the pavement to get the soil sample to come out with the R value and calculate the pavement design section, the thickness, how much is asphalt, how thick is asphalt, how much is. And then they have to do traffic study, because we add in a lane, that means we have to redo the traffic signal plan, replacing the traffic signal pole and the mass arm, redo the timing. After they have all that, then they put the plan together, and then do a little geometry. That means is the street, when it's gonna start taper back to 2-lane to 3-lane. That might require a short retaining wall over here if we go up to the slope. My goal is, hopefully, I'm not gonna have to do any extension of the storm drain, because right now it's a trapezoid channel that I try to avoid, but they have to look at, still have to look at it first. If we have to encroach into the channel, all I ask is just extend the box culvert, but Caltrans might ask me to do a hydraulic study, and I hope not, but that's part of the study they have to do.
Okay. That helps a lot, because to me, it was just drawing a cross-section and, deciding how many bars of rebar to stick in it. You made it much more understandable that this is an inexpensive plan. So
What is
thank
the
you.
timeline for this?
Pardon me?
The timeline?
5 months.
My goal is 6 months. They told me 5, but I give myself another month because we have to deal with Caltrans for permit. And the last one, this plan, we did it in-house, this rock thing. We did it in-house, it still took 3 months to go through the permitting process with Caltrans, nothing more than just clean it, put the rock down, and that's it, but. So,
At least we're not crossing a railroad.
yeah. So the item number 18 is for you to award a contract to Michael Bakers to prepare the plan specification and cost estimate.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
And with city attorney, we'll review the
Yes,
the final.
subject to final review by a city attorney.
Yes.
I move the item?
Okay. There's motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, that is approved unanimously. Are there any reports of councilmen?
Just a general informational item. I don't know where to begin, but we had announced that we had an airline coming. We're running into some issues, so that flight's going to be postponed. We had extensive talks with Customs, and they are basically refusing to provide us with the officers needed to process the flights. And we came up with a multitude of solutions that we think would work. They didn't agree with any of them. The bottom line is they're putting us in a catch-22. They're saying that in order to provide officers, they want us to have enough activity at the airport that we would employ 7 to 10 people full-time. the flight that we were going to get only required about 4 people for about 4 hours twice a week, and we were willing to pay them double time out of a pool of several hundred to 1,000 officers they have that covers LA. They said that's not workable. So what's going to end up happening is, even if we had the airlines and we submitted a plan, they'll turn around saying, we don't have the officers. So it's a very frustrating situation. We're working with congressional folks to see if we can get assistance, and hopefully something positive will come out of this. At this point, it's hard to see it. But anyway, that's our latest on the airline saga. We are having an event at the airport next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, on the 17th of May. It's a World Trade Conference. We have a number of speakers speaking on a number of issues related to international trade, cybersecurity, transportation, logistics, EB-1 visas. We anticipate close to 1,000 people there. So if you know anybody who's interested in learning more about import and export, it's a great opportunity to network with freight forwarders and companies who manufacture items that are setting up to export or even import. So we're excited about that. So just kind of general service announcement.
Is there anybody in customs that you can recommend that the president fire?
Well,
He's in the mood. He's draining the swamp.
good point. We may want to send a letter saying we like the way you're the tone you're setting, and we just need to move its way west. Although I don't know if he cares so much about California. So
Maybe all the ICE officers are doing the I and not the C anymore.
yeah, well, the reality is that air traffic is increasing, and it's increasing a lot all over the world. More and more people are traveling by air because it's becoming economical. Yes, it's a pain in the butt, but LAX is adding flights on a weekly basis. Even Ontario has added flights. So clearly there's a need for an airport here. It's frustrating that we're not able to address this. Hopefully we'll get some other activity that's commercial related scheduled, meaning domestic, or maybe even some cargo. So.
Okay, any reports of officers? Hearing none, the city council.
We do have
Yes.
one brief one.
Okay,
At
go ahead.
the last meeting, we talked about the University Church. You want a little more detail. Adrian Gauss provided us way beyond a little bit more detail. So we have a,
The man's not even here that we wanted the detail for.
well, you're
No,
gonna
I
get-
thought it was Dusty.
You're going to
Wasn't
suffer
Dusty?
through it
I
anyway.
wanted to see it too.
Oh, did you? It was
Yeah.
for Ron because he wasn't here last time.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Anyway, it's such a cool video, you got to watch it anyway.
I've got to see this, yeah.
I think we got it going.
Just show it again.
What are we looking at?
We're
Going
looking
up
on Campus Street and going into the entrance of the new University Church.
Wow.
So
Did they
that's gonna-
prepare this just for us, or has this already been there?
I think they did some of it previously, but most of it just for you guys.
Look at
There's
that.
no
It's-
music?
It's this month, the jacarandas are blooming.
So this is the main entrance, the water features we talked about, and kind of turning a left over towards where the amphitheater and the public meeting spaces are.
Conrad, help me understand, is this part of phase 1, or is this part of their master plan for that's going to
This is the
cover what?
master plan, but what you're seeing now is parts of Phase 1.
Okay.
So this is the north side of the church.
Yes, this will be the north, right now we're in kind of the northeast corner, and we're going to turn around off the University Mall and look down into
A nice
the
little slope. Wow, this
amphitheater,
is so
the guy up in
cool.
the window on the treadmill, and then, kind of
There's a treadmill?
no, I'm being
Oh.
facetious.
That's impressive.
So they talked about having a cafe, public spaces for people to come in off the campus. That's kind of what we came through there. This is now the far north side, coming back down onto Campus Street, where all these trees and everything is where the ratty old parking lot is today. And you can see, on the pictures, it was a pretty flat
Yeah.
picture, but there's quite a, they put quite a bit of relief,
Mhm.
and it stands out pretty remarkably. So we're doing the same thing, we're kind of coming in, and then instead of making a left, we're going to make a right and go past the classrooms and on the
So this is on
south
the
side.
south side of the
Yeah.
church.
Wow.
So this is the kind of interior of the quad on the
Let the children come.
southwest corner, and then this will be where currently the classrooms are there on your right, the remodel of that. There's quite a bit of, showed quite a bit of landscaping and water features on the plans, and they're pretty generous in showing that. And then we're coming around to the back where there's a small a more private chapel and reflective area, kind of on the southeast corner, butting up against the campus mall.
Is that the School of Dentistry in the background? No,
You're-
it's the
You're
church.
now, yeah.
There it is,
There you
okay.
go. Now you're looking kind of northwest, and probably from the helipad there for a frame of reference.
All of this stuff, it looks like it dwarfs the church.
Well, the church is still a pretty substantial building there in the middle.
Was there
Yeah.
something on top of the roof there, like a sitting area? Or did I
On-
miss, did I just?
The amphitheater and the cafe, the second story does have outdoor seating, and then for gatherings, that second story roof has like a patio area for meetings and gatherings and events. So they're actually utilizing a lot of the square footage
No
to make the
solar
best
stuff?
of it. No.
That's interesting.
So yeah, if you look kind of to the northwest there, yeah, on that roof,
Yeah, it
there's some
looked like I s-
patios for gathering, yep, up there,
Wow, so there is a little sitting area.
yeah.
That's impressive.
So that's probably more reflective than those flat elevations that you guys saw earlier.
Conrad, I noticed islands, was that islands on Campus Street?
Yeah, they're,
Is that real, or is that just for this
they
purpose?
still have to work through Public Works with that, but there is, at least that there's some islands down the middle of Campus Street, because it's a fairly wide street with a lot of traffic, and there's some elderly trying to get in and out. It kind of gives a safe harbor in the middle of the street and breaks up some of the traffic, so we can get the pedestrian traffic moving a little clearer through there. And then again, in the front will be an offloading area, so we can unload people and then go and park and come back and join them at the church.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other reports of officers? Okay,
I would like to request that we adjourn the meeting
Oh, yes.
to tomorrow night.
well, why don't we, before I adjourn it, we'll go to housing, because we'll have to do it too.
That too as well?
Yeah, so let's do the Housing Authority. So we haven't adjourned the city council yet. We're opening the Housing Authority concurrently. Are there any items to be added or deleted?
No, sir.
Would the public like to speak on any non-agendized items? Hearing no comment, the consent calendar is there for your consideration.
Move it.
There's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, that's approved. Are there any chair or member or officer reports? Hearing none, we will adjourn the Housing Authority and the City Council to tomorrow, May 10, Wednesday, at 6 PM for a joint budget workshop with the Budget Committee. Okay? At the community room. Next is our successor agency agenda. Are there any items to be added or deleted?
No, sir.
Any comment from the public? Seeing none, what about the consent calendar? What do you think?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, that's approved unanimously.
I have one more item I want to mention.
Okay, another, item 3.
We more likely will have a closed session, a second meeting this month. So it'll be a fourth Tuesday. There'll be 2 items for the closed session, one for labor negotiation, and another one on sale of property.
When is the next meeting?
23rd.
Yeah, I will not be here. Of May? Yeah, I will not be here.
Okay, if anybody else is missing, we will not have a quorum, so, okay.
And is Daly gonna be
We-
back?
We can't have the meeting unless Dr. Daly's coming back, and we have no word on that. Okay. So whether we have that or not depends on the resolution of attendance issues. So are there any, is no old or new business, and then the successor agency is adjourned. That ends the program for tonight. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for sticking around. We appreciate our staff from our chamber. We appreciate the public as well, our faithful public